Okay.
Yeah, hi, good evening, Gilmaro. Just I'm asking, welcome to this mock interview, first of all. And whatever I'm asking, so what is the market is expecting? So that is what I'm asking. Okay. So even
Okay.
though it is a basics, or even though it is a conceptualized, or even though it is a uh, uh, subject wise, and also real time scenarios. So those are expecting right now marketing. Okay.
Okay.
Fine, right? So can we start our interview?
Yeah.
Yeah. So can you tell me once again what is your total years of experience, and what is your current technologies you are working on?
Yeah. My experience in engineering and software development are more than 13 years, and coding more than 10 years.
Okay.
And my
Java Spring Boot.
yeah, I have experience on Spring and Spring Boot, and the backend. I have experience in Java from version 4 to 8, and frameworks like Spring, Spring Boot, Hibernate, JPA. About the databases, I have experience on in MySQL, Oracle, DB2, PostgreSQL, and recently Mongo. In the front end, I've been working with HTML, CSS, JavaScript, Bootstrap, and I'm updating myself on Angular recently.
Okay, fine. Fine. How many years of experience in Spring and Spring Boot?
More than 4 years.
Okay, good, good. So total years of experience is 13, right?
Sorry?
Your total IT experience is 13 years.
It's more than
Ah,
13
okay,
years.
good. Okay, okay, fine, fine. So, okay, fine. So, what is why string is immutable?
Immutable is a characteristic of an object to cannot be modified. It is still the same memory location, and if you need to modify any value of this object, a new object is created, allocating new memory space. So that way you can guarantee that your object is not modified at all.
Okay, okay. So, okay, fine. So, what is the difference between string double equals method and string equals method when you are comparing two strings?
Uh, Double equal sign versus equals method, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Double equal sign evaluates the reference of the object, and equals method evaluates the value of the object. Or if you have an object, you have to. It's very strongly recommended to override the equals method to determine how this object with some of these properties is equal to another object. In strings, you have the equals method. It's very simple. If you have a string A, which it with literal A, and another string with literal A, the equals method between two strings is true. Is
Okay. So
is
you mean
now
that equals method will check the content of the string, right?
we'll check the content of the object, and in this case, the content of the string.
Ah, fine, fine, good. So, what is a method of overloading and overriding?
Overrated versus overridden versus overloaded.
Yes.
Okay, overridden will override the method functionality. So the when you have an inheritance, the child object will override the parent method, and this method will be the parent method will not be visible, and you are changing the behavior of the method. Yeah, and overloading is
And
extend
what about method signature while overriding?
the signature of the method must be the same, the very same.
Okay.
And it's that is overriding. And overloading, you can extend the signature of the parent method. So you can add new parameters to the constructors or the methods, but you have to have the same return value and the same name of method. You can change the number of method, the number of parameters, and so on.
Okay. So overloading, where it is happened. Overloading, where you can write overloading and where you can write overriding. You said overriding is a parent and child, right? Okay, fine. So what is overloaded? And overloaded methods where you written actually?
Sorry again, I didn't
The
understand.
overloaded method where you use it to write within the class or parent and child.
It's the parent is hidden. You can reach the original method behavior because you are overriding the, the original method, and you execute the actual the child method that is
Oh,
overrid.
overriding. Okay. What about overloaded? Overloaded method.
What? Sorry.
Overloaded methods where you are right, where you can write overloaded methods within the class or the different classes.
The same. Oh, okay. And must have the an inheritance between classes.
That is overrided. So what about overloaded methods? So whatever you said, the inheritance concept that is comes under overloaded methods. Overrided methods. What
Could
about
you please
overloaded
type
methods?
it? Sorry.
What about overloaded methods?
Can you type?
Yeah, I will type. Can you see? Just now I typed in the chat.
With overloading methods in class or parent and child, this is still um, you can execute any method. It's not hidden, so you can execute the parent method or a child method using this, or maybe super um,
No.
fine.
Actually, see, whatever you said, concept that will comes under overridden methods that will happen parents and child, but overloaded methods will be happens within the class only. Got it? See,
Mhm.
the basic difference is overloaded and override method. Override method signature is the same, and it will happen parent and child. Why? Because the signature is same, right? So overloaded method will be happens within the class only. Why? Because the signature will be different. Method arguments will be different when we are overloaded methods. For example, some method of a is there. A plus b is there. Some method of a plus b plus c is there. So whenever you are creating an object by passing parameters, the method will be executed dynamically. If you are passing three parameters, the three parameters method will be executed. If you are passing say two parameters, the two parameters method will be executed. So that is what overloaded method. The concept of overloaded method will be happens always within the class only. Okay, not parent and child. Parent and child will be happens only in terms of overridden methods. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, fine. So now, so what is the difference between string buffer and string builder?
Both are specialized objects to that those are mutable versus string that is mutable. String buffer and string method are mutable, and both objects are designed specifically for improving the performance of the string. You need to change most often. Um, The difference between a string buffer and string builder is the string builder is not synchronized, it's not thread safe because its performance is better, and a string buffer is thread safe.
Good, fine. So, what is a thread?
Thread is an execution into one process. You have a process, a main process, and these have a main thread executing the program. When you have another thread, you can use resources in parallel of the main thread. You may have many threads running at the same time, but you have to manage all the concurrency between them.
Good, good. So, how can you create a thread?
You can create thread using or extending the thread class, and you just implement in runnable interface and implement the run method inside it.
Good. So, which one is the better approach creating a thread? Extending thread class or implementing runnable interface, and why?
Depends. Implementing runnable, it's very agile. If you have to run some specific and independent lines of code or behavior, and if you extend thread, you have access to another methods like sleep, start, and some other methods. If you need them, so it's better idea to extend thread. And if you don't need and just send a piece of code to be threaded, you can implement runnable. Just that.
Okay, fine. So, okay. So, what is the difference between sleep and join?
Sleep paused the thread, the thread execution for a very specific amount of milliseconds, and join will resume the thread execution.
Okay, what is the difference between join and yield method?
Join and what? Yield?
Yes.
Okay, yield, it's a request to resume the thread, but with the same priority. And join will resume the thread, but immediately. So using yield, you are asking to the thread executor if there is another slot of time or another time to run this frame with the same priority again.
Okay, fine, fine. So, what is wait, notify, and notify methods?
Notify will notify the status of the thread to the executor. And notify all, I think it will notify all the threads into the thread executor.
Okay. So, wait and notify, where these three methods are defined. From which class these three methods are defined?
Sorry, again?
So, wait, notify all. There are three methods, right? Three methods.
Yeah. Okay.
So, where these three methods, from which class these three methods are defined? From which class these three methods?
I think the thread class. Any class that implements any class that implements runnable, I think.
Are you sure? I'm asking.
No.
See, you are saying join, sleep, and yield methods from the thread class, right?
Yeah, it's from thread
So
class.
the same way, I'm asking one more question. Wait, notify all. Those are the three methods. From which class?
I think it's the same thread class.
Okay, fine. So those are not a thread class. Those are from the object class. Okay, object class.
Okay, it's the object.
Okay,
Okay.
fine, fine. So okay, Mm, fine. So what is the difference between so before going to the collection, what is the purpose of static?
Sorry, again?
Static keyword, static.
Static modifier. A static will expose the method or the class without any need to create an instance. You have a definition of the class or the method to as soon as the class is loaded in and an instance is not needed to do so.
Okay. Okay, fine. So if I have within the same class, if I have three static blocks, okay,
Okay.
and three static blocks and one non-static method, okay, one instance method, we can say. So I
Okay.
created an object for that class and I called that non instance method. I'm printing that instance method. So what is the execution of these four methods when I'm running the class?
Uh, the static blocks will execute as I mentioned as soon as the class is loaded. In the order you have defined it, 1, 2, and 3.
Mm-hmm.
And then when the method, instantiable method is loaded, when you create an instance.
Oh, good, fine. So what is the collection interface are there? So what are the collection interfaces are there?
Collection what?
What is the collection interfaces? Collection interfaces.
Collection interfaces. Oh, I didn't know that.
Okay, so what is the difference between list and set?
List will allow you to list different objects, and doesn't matter if there is duplicated. List will not preserve the order, and set is a collection that when you have a list, you have objects, but you can duplicate objects
From where? Set.
from the set.
Are you sure?
Yeah, the set doesn't allow you to do duplicates, to have duplicates.
So what is the difference between array list and hash set?
Hashed and what other?
Array list, array list.
Okay, it's the same. Array list is a specialization of a list. It doesn't preserve the order, and hashed you have a key object pair, and you can have duplicates, duplicated keys.
Okay, okay, fine, fine. That's okay. So what is the difference between @component and @service?
Entering components and service
Yes.
in Spring.
Yes.
Okay. It's just a practical difference because both are same, but you may label, you may use a service just for clearance the purpose of the component. I think that's it. It's not a big difference between them.
Okay, fine. So what happens if I declare @component on top of service?
I think it works.
It will work or it will not work? Did you get my question?
Yeah, if you on a class you have the annotation component and just after that the annotation service.
No. There is no service service annotation. I removed service annotation on top of service. I put in the same place in the component, which means just I declare component on top of service instead of service. Okay, what will be happiness? Simply I defined component on top of service. What will happen?
I think it's conflict because or you have a service or you have a component.
No, I don't have service. Service I don't have. Only I declared component.
Okay.
What will happen?
You will have a component.
Did you get my question? Let me type.
Okay.
Yeah, I defined at component on top of employee service instead of at service. So what
Okay.
happens? Yeah.
I think it worked perfectly. It doesn't matter because you label or annotate a service. Just to be clear of what is the purpose of the employee service, but you can use component or service either.
So is it work or it will not work?
I think it worked.
Okay, fine. So can we do what is the difference between put method and post method?
Put and post. Okay. Post method is using the post verb of HTTP protocol and is used for insertions. And put method is used for updating objects.
Okay. So can we do delete operation in a post method?
Can we do what?
Delete operation in a post method?
Yeah, you can implement any one any code you want in the method, but it's standard to use post methods for insertions and put methods for updating.
Okay. Can I do a delete operation in a get method?
If you want to do so, yes, but it's
Right.
not the right way. You can implement it on the delete method.
Okay, that's fine. So how can you know how many objects are created in a Spring Boot project? So how can you know? How many beans are created in your project?
I think you have a single entry point like your Spring Boot application. That is, it can be a singleton or a prototype pattern. If you by default you have a singleton.
That is okay. That is scope. Assume your project in a by default in a singleton scope only. So in that singleton scope, so how many objects are created? How can you know? So I want to know how many objects are created while running the project. So how can you know?
Just one. If you have singleton, just one.
A singleton. No, not one. I have so many classes, right? I have a controller class, I have a service class, I have a helper classes. So just whenever I'm running a application, just I want to know how many objects are created or how many beans are created. So how can we know?
Okay. In a traditional architecture, you have components like controllers, services, repositories. It at least is those three types of objects. maybe you have the configurations, and you will have as many objects as you declare.
Just now I pinged you say. So that is what my question.
How many
How
objects are
can we
created?
know how many objects are created while running application? Spring Boot application.
Okay, I don't know that answer.
Okay, fine. So we can know in a two ways. Okay, we can know in a two ways. One is activator. Activator is there, right? Activator dependency is there.
Creators.
So your local port number. So HTTP colon localhost colon port number slash beans. It will give how many beans are created in your project after running your project. And the second way, second type of to know how many beans are created, the application context will return string array by calling the method. So get bean definition names. Application context dot get bean definition names is the one method. It will give the all the created beans. It will give the string array. So you can if you're doing count of that string array, it will give the count of created beans. Or if you want to traverse or if you want to loop that string array, you will find out that all the beans are created in your application along with your runtime objects as well as your defined objects. Okay,
Okay.
like controller class, service IMPL, and any other helper classes or any other utility classes along with that runtime classes provided by the Spring Boot. So that
Okay.
is the way we can know. Fine.
Actuator
So
and application context.
yeah. So what is the difference between JP and Hibernate?
Hibernate is implementing JPI specification.
Okay.
JPA it's a specification for mapping objects to relational to databases, and Hibernate is implementing it, and is it provides a set of dialects and some other functionalities to speed up the ORM.
Okay. So what is the difference between the get and load methods from Hibernate?
Sorry, again,
Get
what's
and
the difference
load.
between
Get and
get
load.
and
Load
load?
from Hibernate.
Okay. I think load is I knew that. Get will retrieve the data from the database directly, and load will get the data from the cache.
Are you sure?
No, I'm not sure,
Okay, fine.
honestly.
So what is that is checking in Hibernate? That is checking.
What can you type it?
That
30
is
checking.
yeah.
No, I don't know. I think Hibernate has two-level caching,
Okay,
but
fine. So
I didn't know that concept.
okay, fine. Okay. So okay. Mm. Okay, what is the difference between controller and REST controller?
The REST control is specialized for handle HTTP requests as a REST, and a controller can. I think it's mostly the same, but the REST controller provides you a better way to handle the HTTP method for a REST architecture.
Okay, fine. So what is solid principles in Java? Solid principles.
So
Solid principles. What are the solid principles? Solid. SYLID.
solid principles. Okay. Oh, I think it's a single interface. Uh, I don't remember.
Okay. So solid principles. Yeah. See, Gulmero. So you are having a 13 years of experience, right? 13 plus, right?
Hmm?
So you are having a equivalent to uh, architect role, right? Next, your position will be near to architect. So you would know better to know the all the design patterns. Okay, design patterns and design principles. So solid principles are nothing but let me listen first. So solid
Hmm.
principles are nothing but SOLID, single responsibility principle and open and closed principle and ISCO substitution principle, integration segregation principle and dependency injection principle. Injection. Okay. So these are the
Hmm.
5 solid principles. Okay.
Okay.
So
It
yeah,
just listing
we are using
the
all these principles in our day-to-day code. We are using unknowing or unknowingly, we are using all these principles in our day-to-day code. Okay. So,
okay.
but we should know as a developer, we should know where we are exactly using these principles. Okay. So if you are knowing these principles, whenever you are writing, whenever you are implementing something in your project, so you will have a better idea to implement comes under these principles using these principles. Okay.
Okay.
So we can develop a code in a better reliability, better reusability, better performance wise. So using these solid principles, we can define our code in a better way,
Okay.
right? So even though we don't know these principles, but we are using. But right, so as a developer, we should know what is this principle, where we exactly used this concepts in our day-to-day code, right? So for the next
Okay.
interview, you should refer these solid principles. Definitely, you know. So as a 13 years experience, you already used these 5 principles in your code, but you should aware where exactly you are using these principles. Okay.
Okay. I
And
will
also
study.
please focusing on design patterns also. So design patterns we have nearly in Java 25 to 30 design patterns, creational, behavioral and structural design patterns. So what are the creational design patterns, like singleton design pattern, prototype design pattern, uh, factory design pattern and builder design pattern? We have a different 5 or 6 kind of design patterns in a creational design pattern, and also
Okay.
behavioral design pattern and structural design patterns are there. So we should know. So obviously some of the design patterns we are using unknowingly in our day-to-day code, but some of the design pattern we need to design based on our requirement. Okay. So as a developer, senior developer, we should aware of all these design patterns. Okay. And
Okay.
apart from design patterns, and also collections are very important. You are a little bit lag in collection frameworks. See, when I'm asking what are the interfaces in a collection interface, simply list and set and map. So map is another kind of collection class, but map we cannot call a collection, but it is also we can, using map also we can load a different kind of objects, key value pairs, in terms of in the form of key value pairs. So collections are list and set, okay, and queue. So what is the difference between list and set? So you are saying in a swiping order, you are saying as a response order. You are giving wrong answer. You are giving uh, wrong answers. Like list will allow duplicates and it will not. It will follow the insertion order. But the same answer you are giving for the set, right? So list will allow the duplicates element as well as it will follow the insertion order. Set will not allow duplicate orders. Set will not allow the duplicate orders and it will not follow the insertion order. Okay. So implemented classes from the list interface. So we have a list interface and we have a 4 implemented classes from the list interface, like array list, linked list, stag and vector. Stag and vector from the Java 1.2, and after 1.2 we have a array list and linked list. Okay. And also coming from the set interface, we have a implemented classes from the set interface also. Hash set, tree set, linked hash set, right? So
Okay.
different classes are there. So it's set also, and we should know each and every class behavior of set interface, and also each and every class behavior of list interface. And also we have a map implemented classes. Map is also one kind of interface where we have different implemented classes like a hash map, hash set, sorry, not set, hash map, linked hash
Concurrent.
map, concurrent hash map, hash table, navigable map, tree map. So different kind of maps are there, right? So we should know what are the different kinds of maps, and what are the behavior of each and every class, implemented class, so that whenever you are having a requirement, so you will have a better idea to use from which collection class. So if I use some collection class, so it is easy to give better performance based on my requirement, so that we should know all the collection classes. So then only you can use your class, these collection classes dynamically whenever you're writing code, right? So we should
Okay.
aware of these all these classes. So otherwise we will confuse whenever we're getting a, whenever we're fetching a some collection of records from the database. You will think which class should I store this collection of records. So should I use array list? Should I use linked list? Should I use a map? You will confuse, right? So better to know all this behavior of these classes.
Okay.
Okay. So for the next round, you will be focusing on collection framework, as well as all the annotations from the Spring and Spring Boot, and solid principles and design principles. These are the guidelines for the next interview. These are the
Okay.
key factors for the next interview. Okay.
Okay.
I will give you the topics from our common chart. So please refer from there and prepare for the next interview.
Okay.
So whatever you are saying, answers all are good. All are good. You scored whatever we discussed till now. You scored three score out of 5. But you should, as a 13 years experience, I am expecting you need to score 4 out of 5. So then you are eligible for the crack any kind of interview.
Okay. Okay.
Right?
I will put more attention on collections and solid principles,
Design patterns.
design patterns, and
Yeah,
Spring Boot annotations.
exactly. Not only Spring Boot, you need to find out all the annotations from the Spring Framework and Spring Boot.
Okay.
Like at the rate service, at the rate repository, at the rate component, at the rate qualifier, at the rate primary. So we have a different kind of annotations. Okay.
Okay. What about exception handling?
So exception handling we didn't touch, right? So can we have 5 more minutes to touch exception handling?
Uh,
Yeah.
was that a question?
So how can you create a custom exception?
You extend from the exception class and implements the throw.
Okay. So you need to focus on exception handling also. So what is the throwable? Throwable is the super class of exception. Okay. Throwable
Okay.
is a class. Okay. Super class of exception class, and also we have it exception class as well as runtime exception class. Okay. So whenever you are writing a custom exception, you better to extend the runtime exception class instead of exception class. Why? Because exception class will have both checked and unchecked exceptions. So all the checked exceptions will be covered when we are writing programming. So no need to extend our custom exception from the exception class, right? So we can our custom exception class will always get all the runtime exceptions, not the checked exceptions. Okay. So better to extend the runtime exception. And also we have an error also in the exception class. What is the difference between error and exception? So errors are non-recoverable, exceptions are recoverable. So when you are handling exception handling, you can handle all the exceptions, but you cannot handle all the errors. Errors are kind of memory kind of errors, like memory not sufficient. There is no such kind of. We will get the memory kind of errors like out of memory errors. Okay, so those are not recoverable dynamically. So you need to increase your hard disk or RAM memory or heap memory by passing JVM arguments manually. So then only your program will work. So otherwise it will not work. So these are the errors are non-recoverable. Okay, manually we need to increase memory. So based on your project size, right?
Okay.
Those are those comes under exception handling, and also please focusing on wait and notify threads methods also. So I want to know wait and notify all the methods from the object class. Okay, so those methods are not in a thread class. Why these three methods are defined in object class instead of thread class? Okay, so
Okay.
please focusing on those areas.
Okay.
So I will give you all this feedback in our comment chat. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that was better than the last one. Was I was scored 2 out of 5.
Okay. Fine. Yeah. Thanks, Gilmero, and we will meet next interview. Okay.
Okay. Thank
Yeah.
you very.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye.